11:23, Trudie sitting in for Elias. The English Montreal School Board is going to be going to the Supreme Court of Canada on Bill 21 next week. That's the secularism law. This is one of several legal challenges being spearheaded by the English Montreal School Board. We learned through some Gazette reporting, I think it was Gazette reporting not long ago, $2.7 million in legal fees spent by the board to fight the secularism and language laws. Here to tell us what the hope is and whether so far the expense has been worth it is Joe Ortona, chair of the English Montreal School Board and president of the Quebec English School Boards Association. Joe Ortona, welcome to the Elias Makos Show.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Good morning. So I guess the question is the hope being pinned on that Supreme Court hearing on 21 next week. In particular, for that hearing, the goal is what particularly?
Well, the goal is obviously to win. The goal is we're hoping that the Supreme Court is going to declare that Bill 21 is unconstitutional based on all of the arguments that we've been making in the lower courts over the course of the last 7 years, that it's a violation of our Section 23 charter rights to manage and control our school system so that we can hire the teachers that we choose to hire. And based on Section 28, the gender equality provisions that are guaranteed in the Charter, both of which fall outside of the notwithstanding clause.
And what is the status of the challenge centered on the language law? Just refresh our memories, Joe Ortona.
Yeah, so that one was launched in 2022, the challenge to Bill 96, all the amendments to the Charter of the French language. And that's still in the lower courts. That has yet to be heard and decided by a judge.
So there have been some critics who have been saying that the cost is getting to be too much, $2.7 million in legal fees. The EMSB has maintained that this is an existential fight. Do you, as you see the bill rising, do you still maintain that?
Mm-hmm. Well, so it's important to remember two things. When we look at the bill, like the overall cost, well, that's only going to go up. It's never going to go down. But the $2.7 million figure is a little bit misleading. You have to remember the number of challenges that we've had to launch against this government because we keep winning in court and they just don't get it. And they still keep adopting some of these horrendous bills into legislation that are blatantly discriminatory, that blatantly violate Section 23. The latest was the court challenge on the budget cuts when they wanted to impose where exactly we can budget and spend the money, for them to turn around on the day of the hearing to say, okay, finally, after we spent all the legal fees preparing, they finally conceded, okay, fine, they have the leeway to be able to budget where they see fit. So the other thing to remember is that the $2.7 million figure is not like we spent $2.7 million this year or $2.7 million last year. It's over the course of 7 years. So it's not like we could have taken this money and put it into some major project. It's an expense that increases, over the course of multiple years. Bill 21 is already at the Supreme Court now, so there won't be any other further expenses incurred on that. When you have a government that is so hostile towards the English-speaking community, that wants to abolish school boards altogether so that we have no autonomy in our education system whatsoever, these cases absolutely are necessary to fight that existential threat that we're facing with this government.
Are you hoping for a change of government in the fall?
Absolutely. This government has had a horrendous record in how it's dealt with the English-speaking community, in how it's dealt with minorities in general, and has really not done a good job at all in terms of education. They've said that it was their number one priority. They've just neglected it. And we are no further ahead or no better off after 8 years of a CAC government than we were in 2018 when they came in. It would absolutely it would be a great thing if a new government came in, because one of the first orders of business would be to, sit down and have a meeting with whoever the new Minister of Education would be, and try to build some of these bridges and find some common ground and things that we can work on together and move forward.
It may be, Joe, out of the frying pan into the fire, though, if the Parti Québécois prevails in the fall.
Yeah. Well, look, people always bring that up as a concern. Here's what I say, and I don't think I'm being overly optimistic here. But there are obviously some things that we are not going to agree on with the Parti Québécois. They're a sovereignist party. The English-speaking community overwhelmingly is not and is federalist. So on the language issue, are we gonna agree on everything? Probably not. Even on things like Bill 21. But I'll tell you one thing: people that have been around in the education system longer than the last 8 years, long enough to remember what education was like under the PQ, they all say the same thing. It was never this bad, because they never actually attacked the school board institutions themselves. They respected the autonomy of the English-speaking community to at least do that, to at least run the English schools. And remember that it was the Parti Québécois that created the linguistic school boards to begin with, in order to conform and respect to a Supreme Court decision that guaranteed the English-speaking community's management and control rights over English public education. So I'm not hopeful on everything, but I'm hopeful that it would be an improvement to what we've had now.
That is an interesting point you're making, Joe, about the Parti Québécois. That is a way of thinking I hadn't considered. Thanks for your time today.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Joe Ortona is chair of the English Montreal School Board and president of the Quebec English School Board Association.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.